We're continuing our special series this month honoring Black history with a profile of a detective with the San Angelo Police Department. Erin has a story.
Two-thirds of African Americans in this country have a distrust for police and believe that they won't be treated equally. But here in San Angelo, we found someone who is willing to bridge that gap between law enforcement and the community. So here with me today is Porsche Callum, the first Black female detective in San Angelo, and she's going to talk with me a little bit about that disconnect and how we can bridge that. But before we dived into some tougher topics, we indulged in some caffeine. And coffee is actually how Callum got to know the area she patrolled when she first moved here.
I would go to different coffee areas in my community where I patrolled, and that's how I learned a lot about different businesses and different people too. So that was cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah. And I love coffee, as you can tell. So.
And her presence in our community goes beyond than just coffee shops. She's actually well known all over the Concho Valley.
I've known her since she joined the police academy, and she's one of the most strong-willed, driven women I've ever met in my life. I mean, in almost, I think, 2 years she became a detective out of the police academy. So, I mean, that speaks huge volumes for the kind of person she is.
With the current state of our country, Black Lives Matter versus Blue could easily be asked, being as though she fits both categories. But instead, she responds,
I don't stand for the separation of people, you know what I'm saying?
Saying everyone deserves to be treated the same way.
Regardless of what the crime is, because we are still dealing with human lives. Regardless if you did this, regardless if you did that, we are still dealing with people's lives. And so having good morals and values in this job would take you a very long way.
We couldn't interview a police officer and not go for a ride along, so as Detective Callum shows us her old stomping grounds, she shares how she found out about her being the first Black female on the force here in San Angelo to invoke change.
I didn't know. I did not know that history about SAPD.
But she continues that the best way to make change is from the inside out, and that includes getting involved.
I definitely encourage our local African American community to apply to our local police department. You know, that's an amazing way to engage with the community in a different way.
Callum says she found her home in San Angelo, even finding her husband and a home. She says she plans to keep San Angelo safe until she retires. KLST News, I'm Erin Hunter.
Honoring Black History is sponsored by San Angelo ISD.